I got involved in the pro-life movement in the early 80s when churches in Southern California were just beginning to realize that if the Roe versus Wade decision had come down and abortion was legal, we had to do something. So I got involved in the pro-life movement. I didn't have children of my own yet. I was in my early 30s, and it was fascinating to try and figure out what to do with these women who needed information so that they wouldn't have abortions. And as I got involved in the movement, I realized that many of the women who came to pro-life groups to talk about the options that they had in a problem pregnancy had already had abortions. And they were desperate for healing from those experiences. They didn't voice that, but I could see that they needed that healing. And there weren't very many resources back then. So I would pull a few scriptures and a few statements from some psychological things that I was aware of, and I would help women walk through healing, for granting themselves permission to mourn, forgiving the people who were involved in their abortion experience, laying their child emotionally and spiritually in the arms of Jesus, and then going forward to tell their story to others. And that's all I had to do. That's all I was given to use until many years later, when I moved to another area of California and got involved in another pro-life ministry, another pregnancy counseling center. And it was part of the CareNet organization, and they desperately needed someone who would work with post-abortion recovery ministry. And their training materials were, of course, SaveOne. So I went through the training with the CareNet provider, who had been trained by Sheila Harper and had gone through Sheila's training. And they also gave me the little thumb drive that was part of the training then to go through with Sheila's teachings. And so about 4 years ago, I began ministry with women in the central coastal part of California who have had abortions. And I'm one of the few people, I guess, in the ministry who hasn't had an abortion herself. But Sheila made it clear that if I had the compassion for women who were going through this loss, I could be a useful healer. And the reason I have that compassion is that at the age of 37, I did finally get pregnant and lost that child to a miscarriage directly into the arms of Jesus. So it was the only child I ever was pregnant with, and it was already gone. After imagining 20 years of child rearing, that child was gone. And my heart is now for the grief and the mourning that women who have had abortions don't usually allow themselves to experience. They don't allow themselves to process that mourning because they don't feel like they have the right. And I was so appreciative of the SaveOne message that gives women the opportunity to grieve, to put those children in the arms of Jesus, to go through the forgiveness process for everyone who is involved, and to receive the forgiveness of God that they need. And the very first person who came to my door to be a part of this process came and said, "I must talk to you now. I can't wait. You think you're going to start this program in January? It's October, and I need you today." So we started our first class with this young woman that day. And when we went through the stray emotions, and there's a place for you to add another emotion that isn't even in the curriculum, I asked her what her emotion was. And she said, disgust. I'm just disgusted with myself that I had one abortion, she said, because I didn't know better. I had my second when I knew better, and I did it anyway. And I was afraid to be a mom. And then she got pregnant a third time and was on her way for another abortion when she found out she had a tubal pregnancy and had to be rushed to the hospital to take that pregnancy to save her life. So as we went through the SaveOne curriculum, she went from a closed off, negative feeling about herself to appreciating who she was, to being grateful for her husband, who was the father of all three of her children that were aborted, and to the one child that she has now. And she got to the place where she could celebrate her children that are with the Lord and not be a helicopter parent for the one that she had in this life, because so many of the women feel like God is going to get back at them for what they did through any children they have now. And just recently, we celebrated lives of 6 children that would have been born to 2 women who just graduated from our class, the most recent class, and they were the 16th and 17th that had been through our SaveOne program at my Life Center, the Lifeline Center in Southern California. And they had celebrated, one woman had 1 abortion, 1 woman had 5. And they were able to light candles and sing songs and read the certificates of life that acknowledge their children as alive and well with Jesus as part of their eternal family, and to look forward to those children in heaven, to sing praise songs, to read favorite scriptures, to light those candles in memory of those lives, to take flowers home, to take a baby blanket, and to celebrate life. And that's why I had gotten involved in this ministry, and I can still weep with joy with each woman that comes through the program. I don't have to look back at a child I lost through abortion, but I get to celebrate that my little Scotty, my son, is with theirs in an eternal heaven that we're going to be with them someday. And that's why I'm involved. My name is Bonnie Key, and I'm a truth teller.